There we go. The recording has started. Welcome to September 11th. It's our Huddle Up, our Zoom, and tonight we're going to start the series on blood sugar. So for those that couldn't attend, we'll post the recording tomorrow for you. And I'll start by sharing my screen. Yeah. So let's do that. The first thing I thought we would do is just, show our respect. This was a day that impacted all of us, and we just happened to be having our Zoom today. Today has been a wonderful day, and people are united. And, today is a day that people actually got back to talking to each other, being nice to each other. People were holding doors for each other. So we know how to be nice to each other. And, 17 years, that means there's kids that were babies, infants. Some women were pregnant when this happened. And those kids never knew whoever it was in their life that perished on that day. But it definitely was horrific. And I don't think anybody will ever be the same. But just in remembrance of all of them. Does anyone want to say anything? I was in bed sick the day that happened. Anybody else remember where they were at when this started?
I was watching, I think it was the Today Show. And all of a sudden they switched to it, and they had it on the TV as the plane crashed into the towers.
Yeah.
The first plane.
I was actually watching Good Morning America. Dorothy, what were you doing?
I had the television going, and I was saying goodbye to my husband. He was going to work. And I told him, I said, I think you better come back in here. There's something going on. And we sat there and watched it.
Wow. Tony was at work. I actually called Tony at work and told him, go turn on the TV. You remember that, Tony?
Nope.
How about you, Martha? Where were you?
Well, I was in my house in Brooklyn, Ohio.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
The TV was on. I was getting dressed, so I did not know where it was going, but we stopped everything and sat in awe and horror.
Hi, Marcia Novita, Bird Mom.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
Oh, that's okay. I'm so glad you're here. Where were you? I made it smaller so I could see if you'd made it. Lisa's supposed to come, but she's over at the hospital with Claudine. Do you know Claudine, Marcia?
Yeah, what's with Claudine? What happened?
She had some emergency surgery today. She's going to end up with a colostomy bag.
Oh, crap.
But, I thought Lisa would be here. Let me text her. Where were you at, Bird Mom?
On the computer as always, and I see this banner and this picture of the World Trade Center smoking, and go, what the hell is this,
You're from New York.
Yeah, but I was in Florida. I was living in Florida then, in Boynton Beach.
Did you have anybody personally impacted?
No.
I'm glad.
No.
That was
but when I saw it on the computer, I ran into the living room to put the TV on, and then I saw what the hell was happening.
Everybody was glued the rest of the day.
Unreal.
No. All right. Thank you for doing that. I wanted to remind and share with Martha that we have two pieces that we talk about in here, and I didn't want it to confuse her. And we have what's called the Meltdown Challenge, which started yesterday, Martha. I was going to talk to you about that. And we can still talk about it. It doesn't matter when you come in. You have like a week or 2 weeks you could come in. If it's something that you want to do, I leave that up to each individual. But what it is Optavia, the gentleman who started Meltdown Challenge is the techie guy. But he got onto the program, lost some weight, and he had this great idea. And he used it for his own team and people that he knew, and he created these little challenges where they go in and they form teams, and it lasts for 4 weeks. You weigh in and then you weigh out, and you get points for learning healthy habits. And then at the end of the challenge, if you've gotten the right amount of points and you have met your goal, whether it was to maintain or to lose 4%, then you get a little money back. It's like you never have to pay but one time if you actually calculate how you're going to do your weight. But what's fun is being in there with other people while you're going through it, and on a daily basis you're getting that support. Would anybody else add anything to that? Did I kind of describe it?
It's more like a family. I mean, they have been through so much with all of us. I mean, we've all had challenges in our life.
Yeah. And it's been good. It's
there for support, and it does. As a coach, I started it because I thought I should, because being a coach, but I found that it helps me keep on track, keeps on my journey goal.
The accountability is great in the challenge. I agree there with that. Anybody else want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the communication between the people that are in it, they talk to each other, they say things about each other, they talk about their day, they talk about how they feel. I got up this morning, I had good coffee. It was better, I felt, I didn't sleep enough last week. Or, so we talk and say things to each other through the little conversations that we have.
Yeah. It's almost like a Facebook group. It's almost like that, except you have all of the habits of health and information like that and recipes that you get in the course of doing it over 4 weeks. Go ahead, Dorothy.
I was just going to say, you go in every day, and every day they have different categories that you get points for. And each time you go into that category, you learn something about the habits of health. And it's really informative. And then being on the team is supportive because we've all been through it. We know what it takes. And we know we all fall back on things. We know what our trials are. So for me, I love it because it's accountability
and celebration.
But it's celebration also. Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. And we can talk about that later, but I wanted to make that distinction for you because you're new for the group, Martha.
Okay, thank you.
The one that we're in now just started yesterday, September 10th. And we invite people for 2 weeks, I think it is. So you have up to 2 weeks to decide if you want to take part in it or not. And then we'll have another one after this one if you want to skip this one and get in the next one. But you and I will talk about that on our own time.
Okay.
So I wanted to share about our support community. I know that we've covered this every time, but we have Martha in here again, and it doesn't hurt to remind as well as refresh ourselves and then get Martha on board as to the things that we actually are really very lucky to have that we can turn to. And our support community includes a group that's called Nutrition Support. If you or your Optavia coach requires additional guidance, you may contact Optavia's Nutrition Support team, comprised of registered dietitians, dietetic technicians, and certified personal trainers. They're there for us to use. That's what they want. They will even take a recipe that you make that maybe could be healthier, and they'll make it a compliant recipe that can be used as a lean ingredient in the 5-in-1. The nutrition support team is available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Has a phone number. It has an email address. I like doing the email because I like having the hard copy to refer back to. If you are an Optavia coach, you use 1, then 4. If you're a client, then you use 2 and 2. And that way they know who they're talking to when you call in. They're there for clients just like they're there for coaches. I think I have actually referred to nutrition support for Martha already and got an answer to something. I forget what it was. Lisa answered, let's say. No, sorry, tell everyone hi for me. So things must be going on over there. Okay. Wednesday night, we have a client support call, and this is where we have access to doctors. Not just doctors, but doctors who have either still in their practice or have left their practice because they know. You'll be surprised at how many nurses and doctors are now in this program because they feel like all they ever did was treat symptoms when they were practicing medicine and never really helped people get well. But by converting what they were doing and what they knew to a program that actually supports health, they now feel good about what they're doing. They are seeing health in people that before they would not have experienced. And not only that, doctors and nurses work very long hours, and they had fulfilling careers, but they weren't good family people. They didn't get to be with their wives, their children, their husbands. And this program has brought home those medical professionals to where now they still have their income, but now they're seeing people healed, and they're also getting to be part of their family. One of the greatest things that I enjoy about that, I'm sure the other coaches will say the same thing, is when we bring a husband home and a wife home, and they can support their family. They're coaching and helping other people. They're doing well by doing good, but now they actually get to raise their family and be together. So that's a wonderful thing that we do. But we can make calls to this doctor call, and that doctor will talk to us with the knowledge of the program in their mind. When you go to your own health professional, they don't always know about the program and the benefits of it. So it's great to have that resource, and that's on, and these are live calls. That's on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And I always get on the phone with someone if they have a question, and we go in there and we get the advice where we can actually count on what is coming back at us 100%. The Habits of Health webinar is every Wednesday. It's hosted by different health coaches. It's on a variety of subjects. That's a Zoom call. So you can still do it by phone call if you want to. We're actually going to use the Habits of Health call part of it tonight when we do when we start the blood sugar series. Any questions on this from anyone?
I would like to comment about
okay, please.
About the texting at the bottom. I get a reminder every week for both the Habits of Health and for our Monday night by going into your phone and doing the Optavia 30 to 99000 at the bottom of that sheet.
And I do that as well.
Yep, you get a reminder that the Habits of Health webinar is going to take place shortly.
So Martha, I'm making notes here. And if that interests you, when we get together on a one-on-one, I will help you do that, okay?
Okay.
The nice part about that is if you have, and I'm always running out of time when it's time to do it, but if you have time on your phone, you can actually watch the Zoom on your phone. All you have to do is click the link, and you can watch it on your phone. So sometimes
from the text message I sent you. I do that too. Yes. Yeah.
But I'm usually out of power about that time of night.
Okay. So one of the people that we're going to be hearing tonight is Jane Paxman. She's one of my favorite people. She told a story at convention one year. It's been a few years back. And she said that she was in a restaurant and she saw this guy all by himself sitting at a table, and that he was grossly obese, probably 500 pounds. And she said the whole time she sat there, she really wanted to help him, but she didn't know him. And she felt like it would be rude if she went over there. And she said she just couldn't help herself. When they got up to leave, that she went over and sat down at the table across from him, and she put her card on the table, and she says, I don't want to embarrass you, I don't want to be rude, and I don't want to seem forward, but I can help you. Here's my card. If you want help, please call me. And he did, and she introduced him that night, and it was great listening to him. She has 8 kids between her and her husband, and she's an RN. And takes a lot of pride in saying she's an Optavia coach as well, I might add. She's on the call tonight, so you'll get to hear her. And then from our client support is Jennifer Christman. She is an RDN, that's a registered dietitian nutritionist. She is a licensed dietitian nutritionist and a certified personal trainer. Clinical nutrition director of nutrition support and nutrition wellness departments at Medifast and Optavia. She worked in dietetics for 17 years, member of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics and Maryland Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, certified in adult weight management, level 1 and level 2, certified personal trainer, and currently taking master level classes for health administration. I love listening to this lady. If you don't know what a registered dietitian nutritionist is, they are food and nutrition experts who have met the following criteria to earn the RDN credential, completed a minimum of a bachelor's degree at a U.S. regional accredited university or college, and coursework accredited or approved by the Accreditation of Council for Education in Nutrition and Dietetics. That's my daughter. I'm going to turn that off. There we go. That's fine. Completed an ACEND accredited supervised practice program at a healthcare facility, community agency, and or a food service corporation, or combined with undergraduate or graduate studies. Typically, a practice program will run 6 to 12 months in length. Passed a national examination administered by the Commission on Dietetic Registration. Completed continuing professional education requirements to maintain the registration. The licensing is no more than becoming licensed in what she is. That sets her apart from someone who just calls himself a nutritionist. And of course, a certified personal trainer is someone who is passionate about helping you with your health and fitness. They empower you to learn, practice, and live out a healthy lifestyle. Certified personal trainers at the front line of health and fitness movement, and use research-based techniques to help people on all fitness level and reach their personal goal. All of these people are there for us.
That's awesome. And Dr. Anderson's books, The Habits of the Health System, just really helped me understand.
Did I share the sound? Hold on a minute. I don't think I did. Let me do it again. Hey, I see everybody. I can't see you when my screen's up. I don't like it for that reason. All right. You should be able to hear
Emily, I could read myself on these pages. I understood it. I especially love chapter 6, where it really gets into the nuts and bolts of it, because it speaks to the science of our program, which is, you know, the nursing part of me kind of kicks in, and that's what I really understand. So if it's okay, I'd just love to take you through a couple of those slides, if that's okay. All right, so, well, first of all, I'll talk about the glycemic index. This is something Dr. A speaks to in chapter 9 that is so awesome. You know, not all food is created equally, and glycemic index was created to help people understand what would happen to their blood sugar on a scale of 1 to 100 based on the foods that they ate. So if you eat raspberries, your glycemic index will be low because raspberries don't spike your blood sugar. But if you ate this cookie, the glycemic index would be high because your blood sugar would be spiked because of all the refined sugars in this food. So understanding this made all the difference for me. And in chapter 9, again, of Dr. A's books, you will see charts that help you understand what foods are the best source for you that don't spike your blood sugar. Now, this is great for you as you're learning to balance proteins and carbohydrates and making food choices, but also to help you understand that, you know, the foods that are higher in glycemic index don't necessarily need to be avoided completely, but once you're through the program, the weight loss phase of the program, and you've gone through a proper transition phase, then you're moving into optimization. Those foods can be used if you're careful about portion sizes and you balance it up with a little bit of protein. That can really help you. But overall, I really try to stick with the lower glycemic index foods because I just feel so much better in that range for myself. But here's the slide I really love. Okay, this is kind of a general, slide of what maybe Americans would do on a daily basis. It's kind of just like a general thought. You get up in the morning, you're rushed, so you grab orange juice as running out the door. About 10 a.m., you're feeling a little bit sluggish, so your blood sugar had spiked with the orange juice, then it crashes, so you go for the bagel in the break room. And then blood sugar spikes again, you go for lunch, grab some fast food somewhere because you're hurried, and then it spikes again. Then in the afternoon, you get the afternoon crash. The candy bar in the drawer of your desk comes out. You eat that. That'll give you a spike again. And then at home, you get home, you've had this horrendous day, and it's like you feel like you just want to eat. And we usually would eat too much, right? This is kind of typical, I think. But then if you look beyond this, what our program helps people learn is to fuel your body so you're not having those spikes and crashes of blood sugar all day long. Because along with the blood sugar spike, your insulin, which is a fat storing hormone, is also spiking. And with that whole pattern happening, your body is going to be storing away the sugars that it's not utilizing for energy as fat. So now as we move into this different slide, you can see how we teach people how to fuel their bodies with protein carbohydrate balanced fuelings that keep their blood sugar nice and low and steady all day, meaning that our bodies are so much more efficient and we're burning what we're using and not storing fat. So the science behind the 6 smaller fuelings, I mean, I had heard this before, but I didn't really understand what that was about. But it's all because you keep that insulin level low and steady. So here's a study that was done at the University of Toronto where they provided 2 different control groups, the same exact food, the same exact number of calories, and the one group ate 3 times a day and the other group broke it into 6 smaller fuelings throughout the day. And out of those 2 groups, the group that ate 6 times a day, they lost more weight, they were less hungry, reduced their cholesterol by 15%, and their blood insulin by 28%. That to me is so very cool. So by teaching our clients and ourselves to do this, we are then setting ourselves up for success long term, and that's the whole goal. So Jennifer, can you just share a little bit more about kind of the national information that we should know about with regard to blood sugar balancing?
Absolutely, Jan. That was great. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of times when we think of blood sugar balancing, people associate that sometimes with diabetes. So one thing I just wanted to comment on that, and this is from the American Diabetes Association, is that there's really no cure for diabetes, but it can be managed. And there's a couple things we can do. One is exercise and medications if you're prescribed those medications. And then the other impact we can have is with the food that we eat and balancing that. And Jan's been touching on, which foods we should eat and the portion sizes and the combinations. And that really can help keep our blood glucose within a healthy range. And within that, if we lose a little bit of weight, we actually can help control our blood sugar even more. So if you go to the next slide, Jan, we know that from the Diabetes Weight Loss Center at Johns Hopkins, if we lose only 5 to 10% of our body weight, it lowers our risk for developing diabetes by 58%. And this is so critical because we know diabetes is such a major issue in our country. And we also know that our program is so great at helping people not only help keeping that insulin level stable, but it also can help us lose weight. And that's really where we make our claim. So to put this in perspective, if you have somebody, a client or yourself that's around 200 pounds, that's really, just a 10 to 20 pound weight loss. And we know that that's really achievable. So when we look at our meal planning and our diet and what we're doing to help balance our blood sugar, we really want to take a look at food labels. And this can be really confusing, but it's very powerful in knowledge of knowing what we can do and how we can impact our blood sugar level. So we're just going to look here. This food label is our chicken noodle soup, I believe. So if you haven't seen that before, go ahead and try that fueling. It's great. So I just use this as a guide. So at the top there, we have our serving size. And we know it's 1 packet. Eating these fuelings can help really control our portion sizes. And that's true in everything we do. But really taking a look at serving size when we're making other food choices. Is there 1 serving, 2 servings, 3 servings? That can make a big difference in how many calories we're getting and carbohydrates. And then we want to check out the total calories because, if there's 3 servings in 1 pack and each serving is 100 calories, then we're going to have 300 calories just from that pack where we may think the whole thing is only 1 serving. Mm-hmm. And then daily values, I will touch on that for 1 minute. Daily values are actually based on a meal plan that's 2,000 calories. So you really want to be mindful of that, especially when you are trying to lose weight and maybe you're on a program like ours the Optimal Weight 5 in 1 plan, that is about half of those calories. So we want to be careful when we're looking at daily values. And then, of course, we have fat, added sugar, and sodium. These are all important numbers to take note of. What I really want to touch here on, and Jan did a great job is introducing this, is that we want to make sure that we're having a balance of protein and carbohydrates. This can really help balance our blood sugar. And what encompasses carbohydrates are things like the fibers, the sugars, the starches. And I just want to touch on this concept here of net carbs. And you may have heard this before, net carbs, effective carbs, impact carbs. And they're really used by food manufacturers, and they're interpreted differently by different people and different companies. And this term isn't really a term it's not recognized by the FDA, and it's not defined from the American Diabetes Association as a viable way to understand total carbohydrate. Different carbohydrates act differently in the body, and that includes fiber. What a lot of people do will take the total carbohydrate and subtract the fiber, but it really depends on the type of fiber and how it interacts in your body. So we know that on our program, we count total carbohydrates. And when you're on something like the Optimal Weight 5 in 1 plan, your carbohydrates are generally 80 to 100 grams total. And that includes the fiber that you are receiving. So, just take a look at those total carbs. It's definitely useful to figure out and to notice everything that you're putting into your body and just not subtracting it from those total carbs. Does that make sense?
Yes, that is so good, Jen. And before we move on, I was just going to say really quickly, as you're talking about the proteins and the carbohydrates being balanced, one thing that I really learned that helped me understand this is that when you have protein added to a carbohydrate, it slows the digestion of that carbohydrate, and it allows for the blood sugar it doesn't rise as fast. That's what keeps it rising slower. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. And the same thing with healthy fats, actually. So having that combination definitely helps to keep it more stable and more steady. So you get that slower absorption of the carbohydrate.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the fact that we have the protein also helps us stay fuller, longer, and the same with the fats as well. So it's so important that we have all of those components in the right balance, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Excellent point.
So good. Okay.
So when we move on, this is another example of a food label here, just really being conscious of sugars. There are natural sugars in food, like fruit has natural sugar in it. But what you really want to be careful about is this added sugar. Like here you'll see an example here. This product, I'm not really sure what it is, but it has 3 grams of sugar. And the third ingredient right there is brown sugar. So you want to be careful. Take a look at those food labels. They really can tell you a lot about the food and the ingredients. Absolutely. And then the next slide, really enhances that here. So we can see, and Janet touched on this, the protein is really important. Trans fats circled on there as well. We want to avoid that because it's not good for our heart. But really practice looking at food labels. And if you have questions, go and talk with your coach, maybe look something up, call nutrition support. If you have some question about food labels, because they can, I've been a dietitian for a long time, and sometimes I get confused about food labels. And food manufacturers want their foods to look in the best light because they want you, to purchase them and eat them. So, we want to scrutinize labels. We want to look at them. We want to question them. And we really want to make sure that we're empowering ourselves with knowledge so we're able to make healthy choices.
Awesome. So here's one. Can you explain this one a little bit?
Oh, yep. This is great, Jen. And you can jump in anytime. This is one that we love to look at, right? Here's 2 different yogurts. So we see the one here on the left in the white label. That has 150 calories and 26 grams of carbohydrate. So upon a deeper dive there, we can see it has 19 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. So that's probably a little bit of natural sugar from the yogurt, but and the milk, but a lot of it's probably added. And we could take a look at the ingredients if we wanted to dive deeper. That has some protein in it, which is good, 6 grams. But then we take a look at the right-hand label, which may be a better choice. So we see something that's almost half the calories there, 80 calories, And then look at the carbohydrates. The total carbohydrates is only 8. And then we see sugars is all the way down to 6. And protein is double at 12. So these are 2 different yogurts, and their ingredients may be a little different. So when you're scrutinizing the labels and looking at what might be a better choice, what might fill you up a little more, as Jan mentioned before, that protein really helps to fill you up. So you're getting less calories, more protein, less sugar. So the one on the right may be a better choice.
Awesome. That's so great. Right. So I just wanted to touch briefly about the splitting up, like when we're in our weight loss phase and we're doing our 5-in-1 program, for those of you who are on that plan, sometimes it helps to split up your proteins and have half of that in the middle of the day and half of it later in the day. And that option is there for you. It helps to maybe give you a little bit more stabilization, and you might feel a little bit better as you do that. So these are options that are taken from our vegetarian option guide. And these are some of the things that I have found work well for me, because I tend to be a little hypoglycemic. And so having a little bit of extra protein midday with a little bit of extra carbohydrate never hurts to balance me out a little bit. So for instance, like 3/4 cup of low-fat cottage cheese equals half of your lean protein. It comes from the leaner category. And I have that sometimes, like if I were doing the penne pasta or something, I love to put that underneath and then pour the penne pasta over the top. So I'm having my fueling at lunchtime with half of my protein, and it tastes like lasagna. It's amazing, and I feel a little bit more, stabilized when I do that. Just an idea, and then you can do that with plain Greek yogurt. Also, you can mix maybe a pudding or something with the yogurt, and it turns out to be like a mousse. Really good. Or like egg beaters are allowed for our leanest category of lean options. And you could do a small little omelet, maybe add one of your servings of vegetables in there with that, and then have the other 2 servings of vegetables with the rest of your protein later in the day. That's okay. And then again, 2 low-fat cheese sticks can count as half of your lean for the day as well. And that just might give you a little bit more balance during your day if you feel like you're needing that at all. Some people don't at all. But just so you know that those options are available to you and they are on plan. And then another thing here, just in transition, remember that as we're adding and we're going through the simple steps of our transition plan, the first week we'd be adding in an extra cup of vegetables, and those could be some that we weren't used to eating while on the 5-in-1 program. But just be sure that as you're adding those in, those are carbohydrates as well. You could maybe borrow a little bit of protein from your lean and green protein, that lean option, to pair up with those vegetables, or maybe just put those vegetables in that lean and green meal so that you have a little bit of balance of protein there. Same with the fruit in the next week of transition. It doesn't hurt to maybe borrow a little bit of protein or add those into maybe a shake or something so that you're having that little bit of extra protein balance with the carbohydrates from the fruit. In the 3rd week, we are adding in dairy. So if you're not used to having dairy, you would be adding that, or additional dairy if you were using some options from the vegetarian guide. But that is there so that you can utilize that protein from the dairy to match up with these things a little bit. And then in the 4th week with the grains, we are, given additional protein as well. So it all balances out, but just keep in mind that it doesn't hurt to kind of be mindful of that as you go along.
Absolutely. Those are great tips, Jan. Absolutely. And then along with that, as we move into optimization, and our food choices, continue along those principles. All the habits of health that we've been practicing every single day, every single week, none of them go away. So we're eating every few hours. We're eating about the same amount of carbohydrates. So we're watching our portion sizes. We're pairing it with protein and fat for balance. And I mean healthy fats. We're not going out and eating a whole bunch of saturated fat, but those healthy fats like avocado and olive oil and those types of things. And again, we can't say it enough, you know, pairing the protein and the fat really can help slow absorption, help you balance blood sugar. And then another key point in here is choosing adequate fiber options. So when we're looking at whole grain breads, you know, we wanting to choose something that's 3 grams or more per serving. And I like to say 3 grams or more per slice, because we want to be careful about that. And then, of course, water is so important. Drinking our 64 ounces of water every day can really help our bodies function optimally. So we want to make sure that we're staying hydrated as well.
Awesome.
So along with these food choices, you know, you can continue, as Jan was saying, you know, pairing those fuelings with different foods throughout the day as you move into optimization. You know, here I'm going to put a plug in for our Pinterest page. We have recipes coming up on our Pinterest page every week. Our dietitians are working really hard to bring you fun and new recipes. So here we have our egg and cheese bagel sandwich using one of our fuelings. It looks so delicious, and it is delicious. And then we have a pizza here using, you know, as a lean and green meal. And these work wonderfully through optimization as well. So just because you had it during weight loss doesn't mean you have to eliminate it going forward, because it's a healthy habit to continue to eat and portion control. And all of this can help you balance your blood sugar in the long run.
Yes. Oh my goodness. These choices look so good. And honestly, you know, just the fact that you're here watching this webinar right now says that you're really investing in your long-term health and long-term success. And as you continue to just practice these habits, they become part of who you are, not just things that you're doing for a time while you're getting to a healthier place, but it's going to become who you are to choose these choices and feel great about it. And then onward, as you go throughout your life, it's not difficult to maintain that if you just keep practicing and keep using these options and learning. So awesome. So Jen, I loved your slide just before that last one, because you and I were on the same wavelength. We both felt like these are things we just do for the rest of our lives: fueling correctly, hydrating, getting restful sleep, moving, finding something you enjoy that's exercise type thing that you can continue doing long term, staying connected to our awesome support system, being part of and contributing to our community of support, staying mindful and aware. And another great thing is showing the example for others, because once we found this, like, I felt like I had cracked the code. I really did. I couldn't believe that I could feel so good. And as I felt that way, I felt like I needed to pay it forward and help other people realize that this is here. So whether that means, you know, introducing people in your world that are struggling or wanting to get healthier to your coach, or even becoming a coach alongside us and learning the Optavia system so that you can assist others to become healthy as well. That is such a powerful tool to not only help them, but also help you stay healthy. So wonderful. Well, Jennifer, do you have anything you'd like to add just as we're wrapping up?
Yes, I think you did a great job. You really summed it up. I really, you know, I am big.
All right, so now we'll go back. I started you with that simply because we're going to now cover in Dr. A's Habits of Health the chapters, I think it was 6 through 9. I'll get to that in just a minute. But I wanted, Dorothy is so good on blood sugar that I was going to let her talk a little bit tonight about blood sugar. And Dorothy, you can read this and then just expound a little bit. Let me unmute everybody, or unmute yourselves. Before I start, Martha, you have your hand raised. Did you need to talk to me?
No, that was before you were around. I was looking for you.
Oh, okay. Then I'll lower your hand. So go ahead, Dorothy. I got you unmuted.
You make it a little bit larger so I can read it?
Sure, I can. Let's do that again.
Thank you. As you can see below, the typical Western diet of highly processed, high glycemic foods, soft drinks, candy bars, bagels, cause blood sugar, also called blood glucose to rise dramatically. And that makes the level of insulin rise. What happens next is interesting. This elevated insulin level actually causes blood sugar to plummet, creating the rapid rise and fall you see in the chart. As the blood sugar falls below normal, the brain sets off a series of messages that causes cravings, and soon you're scrambling for something sweet and full of calories. And so the cycle of high and low blood sugar levels continue, reinforcing eating patterns that lead to poor health and obesity. It's really hard to expand on everything that they said. I thought that it was very good, but I know for me, I'm diabetic. It's very important for me to keep my insulin level, because when you take in things that raise your blood sugar level, as you see in that blue line, your blood sugar goes up and then it drops, and you're hungry for whatever's going to bring it back up again. And when it goes up and down like that, you don't feel good.
No.
And you can't lose weight either, because that insulin is causing you to store your fat. So the main thing is get the right amount of carbs and protein balanced, so that you're not going up and down like that all the time, because it is a helpless feeling, because you're physically drawn to the foods that will bring you up again. And you feel like you have no control over it. So if you can keep your baseline insulin good, it's the best thing for you. And it's a struggle, I know. And
that's by pairing your carbs and your proteins. So if I'm going to have a piece of fruit, then I need to have an equal amount of protein to offset the carbs in that fruit. And if I'm understanding it correctly, then it slows the digestion down and keeps you from having those sugar spikes. So a simple thing as reading that label and seeing the amount of sugar or total carbs they said, and then matching that with protein, I can control these spikes to where I won't be going up and down. Is that correct?
Yes, and for me, that's why I continue to use our meal replacements, even though I'm almost at the same weight, staying at the same weight all the time. I use it 3 times a day because
I do have the carbs and the proteins balanced.
And I feel like I can grab a bar or I can have a shake, and I know that I'm not going to feel bad after I've done it. And if I have fruit, like if I have an apple, I usually pair it with a cheese stick. So for me, that's how I do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just good to have that knowledge.
Yeah, because I'm at the point where I can have that fruit.
Right.
So, but it's so nice to just get up in the morning, pick 5 things that are going to keep your sugar level where it should be, and you'll get healthier.
And keep that insulin from spiking.
Right. And I've chosen to not take medication for diabetes, which means that I have to choose my food very carefully. And sometimes people think, well, wouldn't it be better to just take medication? It's just like if a person has a cholesterol problem and they take cholesterol medication because they want to eat all the stuff that they're not supposed to. Yep. So people look at me and they say, well, other people who have diabetes will eat that. And I said, yeah, but I don't take medication.
That's a really interesting point, Dorothy.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Pickering?
Basically, it's like the whole program is to eat healthy and live healthy and not have to take these medications. And I think the one thing that upset me with when Dick was in the hospital is they started giving him potassium. And I said, why don't you give him bananas or spinach or, why give him a pill? Why didn't they give him? And so they did. They did stop. The doctor ordered stuff like that for him that he could have on his diet. And his potassium level did straighten out.
Yeah.
That's what I said. When they wanted me to go on it, I said, I'll just eat more bananas or more spinach and
get it through a natural source.
Right, right. And that's Dr. A's whole point of his program.
But the only problem with that is bananas have a high carbohydrate count.
But so, I only eat a half of one. And the diabetic, when Dick was in before, when he was, before he lost all the weight and everything, they put him on a diabetic diet, and they were giving him a half a banana twice a week. I mean, it's not something he should eat a whole banana every day.
Right, exactly.
But to get his potassium level up after he was in the hospital for the kidney, and that's what they said. They would rather see him eat something like that than to take the pills, because the pills, when you're on kidney dialysis, causes a lot of problems.
And then you also could complement that banana with a protein, right?
Right. Right. Oh, yeah. We most generally he'd have it in the morning. So he would have like his protein and the
egg or whatever, and then banana.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, and it's good to know how to do that, and that's why we're going to cover blood sugar as we go forward with this. Did anybody else have anything else they wanted to contribute? All right. So we'll move on. So we're going to cover Chapter 6, Chapter 7, Chapter 8, and Chapter 9. I'm not going to rush anything, so I'll take it along and make sure we learn everything that is available there for us to learn. And we will now get to our takeaway tonight and what we're most grateful for. And then if you're excited about something that's going on, share that with us so we can get excited too. I'll start, and my takeaway tonight is how important insulin is in terms of fat storage, how important it is to know that there is a correct way of combining your food to be healthier. And that is what I constantly am trying to learn, is how to actually feed my body in a way that's going to benefit it healthy. What I'm most grateful for tonight is all of you. I enjoy doing this, and I wouldn't be able to if you weren't here. And what I am most excited about would have to honestly be that my son-in-law is doing better.
Yeah.
And I will pass this to Bird Mom.
Okay. My takeaway tonight is I really didn't realize that when I was out of control with my eating, it was because of those sugar spikes. I mean, I totally was out of control eating the junk food, and now I understand it.
Good.
So it's a big lesson to learn. It really is. What I'm most excited about is your Zumba starting next month. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Back in time.
And what I'm most grateful for tonight is, I guess, the usual stuff, having great friends, having a nice life, and finally getting the eating under control and the weight under the control. So
it does feel good to have that sense of it's you, isn't it? That you're not, you don't have that internal battle going on. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll pass it to Martha.
Which one?
You. Tickering. Yeah.
My takeaway tonight is when they were doing the label comparison, I had gotten away from that, and it really surprising the foods that you think, well, they'll say like, no sugar or something, but then they don't tell you, they have no natural sugar, but they add other kinds of sugar that they sneak in there like that. And comparing the labels, I'm back doing that again.
Good.
And that was something I don't know why I got away from, because when I was on it, boy, that was the big thing.
Well, you've been through a lot.
Yeah, it's been a rough.
Stress can impact your choices.
What I most grateful for tonight is that my daughters are there for me. Well, my friends and everything are there too, but the girls have been so supportive of me, and I was having a really rough time in Florida, so being here was great. The last 3 or 4 days, I don't know, it's just been really, I don't know what's going on.
Is that in a good way or a bad way?
Probably not the best, because I've just been so nervous about this doctor's appointment tomorrow and things. But whatever it is, we'll deal with it and stuff. And Missy's going to go with me.
Right.
And what I'm most excited about is it's getting closer for me to come back to Florida. I miss my Florida home. It's great being with my children. My son and daughters and stuff, we had a dinner here, and my son surprised me and stopped and picked up my sister Lucy.
Oh, that was great.
So it was a surprise with her being there, and I'm very grateful for that. Things, how about Tony?
Yes. Here I am. Well, my takeaway tonight is when I saw that bagel and cream cheese, I went, I haven't had one of them in a long time. I wonder why they're no longer in my refrigerator.
That looked good, didn't it?
They're gone. But I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I don't take sugar. I'm very, very, when it comes to sugar, I try not to. Anything with sugar, I take. My coffee doesn't have sugar. I don't put sugar in nothing.
Well, the fact that you always treated yourself is very significant. That just like one day you flipped a switch, this day you ate sugar, the next day you don't touch it. I think it's amazing how you do that. Excellent.
Yeah, that was it. And well, what I'm most excited about is that the challenge is back, and I could start putting all of my jokes.
We love the jokes. Love them.
Writing the jokes again.
We're excited about that too, Tony.
So, but tonight was an exciting day, learning a lot more about sugar. Yeah. I really did enjoy that today. And let's see, who can I go to? Who's next?
You got Martha and you got Dorothy.
No, Dorothy is next. She knows about that stuff. Dorothy.
You can always learn something. I truly enjoyed what they had to say. And learning to control blood sugar is an everyday thing. It's just something that you have to say that the doctors are not right. You can control diabetes, and you have to think that way. And like they were talking about, if we lose some weight and if we watch what's going up and down, it can be controlled. So I think that was a really good habits of health thing. What I'm most grateful for today, I guess, is I took my mom to an orthopedic doctor because she's been in pain in her leg for quite a while. And when it started, she said it was a 10. They put a shot in her knee thinking it was arthritis, and come to find out it wasn't arthritis. She had fractured a bone in her leg.
Wow.
Gosh.
Yeah, next to on the right side of her knee. And so, but the good thing is it's already starting to heal, and she will be able to walk again eventually. Which is a real positive thing, and she's in less pain. So that is, I'm very grateful for that. What am I most excited about? Wow. I'm excited that Florida isn't experiencing what they were a year ago, because a year ago you guys were having the hurricane.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, Dorothy.
And I'm praying for two of our members, my niece and her daughter and her husband. In fact, the whole family is in the Carolinas. So I'm praying for them to be safe. She is an artist, and when she got to the Carolinas, she got an old building that she has her artwork in, and it's a building that they've already had a leaking roof, and they've already had water in it. So I'm praying that her artwork will be safe because she's a marvelous artist. So I'm praying for her. But I'm glad it isn't Florida, because I know you guys had it last year, and she was there last year. She lived in North.
She just moved to North Carolina.
Yeah, everybody says, did you bring it with you? But but so far so good. I'm praying for them.
Yeah.
Martha?
Well, I guess my takeaway tonight is I feel not as overwhelmed as I felt before tonight.
Oh, good, good.
I've not been happy with myself and not getting the right times in, and I know it's the blood levels going up and down and all of that.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hoping that I can really work on that better and find ways. I'm hypoglycemic also, and I really learned a lot tonight. What I'm grateful for tonight, I have two wonderful friends in my living room that just came home from Amish country for the day, and I hope they are well and get back to Arkansas in the next couple of days.
Are you excited about anything?
I'm excited about coming to see you.
Oh, that's cool. I'm excited about that too. I could have said that. Well, thank you guys. This was wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Next week, and we'll pick up and we'll get into Dr. A's Habits of Health now, and we'll support what we learned tonight with actual education. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
And thanks for reminding me. God.
Oh,
Shoot.
you're welcome.
Jeez, I can't believe I forgot. Jeez.
It's okay. I usually see you at the gate. I didn't see you at the gate today.
I know. Yeah.